Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. And we're zooming in and focusing in a great viewer question in terms of why does it take so long to heal? Why does it take so long to part ways with someone who has manipulated you, someone who has abused you, someone who has had an unfair advantage through their manipulation techniques, exploited you, taking advantage of you, or used you? Why is it so difficult to heal from or part ways? So this is a great viewer question, and I received this question in multiple different ways that it's presented. Basically, why does it take so long? Why can't I do this? It's to understand that effective manipulators, people who are around the clock manipulators, are just that. They are around the clock. It is their personality type to be manipulative, to go after what they want no matter what the cost. You can have a lot of ambitious people who will be, dedicated and committed to a cause day in and day out, but it doesn't mean that they have to manipulate, lie to, deceive, and fool others in order to get what they want. So the problem with those individuals who are abusive, manipulative, psychopathic, malignant, narcissistic, covert narcissistic, is that there is a degree of foolery, trickery, and pathological lying. So in other words, and also because of a lack of empathy, it creates a need for you to be overly empathetic, overly provider, overly supportive, overly focused on them. And so your natural empathy or your motor neurons, there are actually areas of the brain neurologically that, in order to be related to or resonate or be connected to or love another person, there has to be a degree of these motor neurons which are activated and wire and fire within your own mind in order to connect with them. So if these are on really full strength in the beginning of the relationship, when there's the love bombing taking place, when you're sort of in this reckless abandon, this hyper focus, this hyper arousal, this hyper attunement, where basically, they're the answer to your prayers, all of a sudden you found your better half, your best half, or you feel completed. So there's this completion process which oftentimes plagues people either when they're vulnerable, when they're weak, when they're hurt, when they're young, when they're immature. So there's this feeling of incompleteness, sort of, part of me is missing. Perhaps people who have abused you have told you, things that have caused you to feel less than attractive or less than complete or less than whole, less than self-sufficient, less than autonomous. In other words, the people pleaser. You can't be complete in and of your own right. There must be someone else in the equation to make you feel autonomous, to make you feel whole, i.e. in the equation of the people pleaser, you're never really, experiencing self-esteem until you've got somebody else to please. Codependency. You're not okay on your own. You must have another's needs to complete you. In other words, you don't have healthy narcissistic boundaries. You don't have proper self-love. You don't have proper self-esteem. You're somehow operating on the belief system. And believe me when I tell you, beliefs of yourself are extremely, 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 in fact, I might as well should say it again, extremely powerful in how much of your life you experience out of life itself, whether it's your prosperity, whether it's your income, whether it's your experiences, whether it's your relationships, whether it's, you go places in your life or follow up and get to know yourself, your interests, your strengths, following on your dreams are highly correlated, profoundly and powerfully correlated to your beliefs. So it's so very important to understand that this is oftentimes the unconscious driving force that's keeping you stuck in the relationship. Your beliefs of self, your belief of how you should interact with others, your values, which keep you tied to an abuser, a manipulator, someone who has exploited you, someone who insults you, berates you, and furthermore lies. And so you're operating in a relationship which is not built on the foundation of truth, out of self-autonomy, self-governing principles which cause you to interact with your and know your beliefs on a daily basis and to become aware of this. So this is the sign of someone who's enlightened or mature or on their path of growth. So when we talk about the motor neurons and why we stay so stuck is because we are then resonating or reflecting our own, neurology is reflecting someone who isn't giving us the full truth. They're not giving us the full picture, the full story. Someone who has manipulated you is causing you then to believe a lie and live a lie. And so then part of you splinters, splices, and fragments off. So it's really magnifying this fact that you feel broken or less than complete inside, that you feel less than whole. You feel less than self-esteem. You feel less than healthy narcissistic boundaries and standards. You are feeling, small, meek, weak. And then this person somehow has made you feel that you are either incomplete or won't be complete unless you are people-pleasing, becoming an egoist like Dr. Craig Melkin. You're never fully okay unless you're either satisfying another's needs, have that at the center of your life, whether you feel inferior and incomplete and incapable. So you're, losing this person would be like losing a part of yourself, or you can't make it on your own. You're not smart enough, intelligent enough. Do you see the correlation? Do you see the pattern? Do you see how they are, like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow? You are, you can't have basically the illusion is that you're chasing after this illusion and feel incomplete without it. However, you're staying stuck in the fight or flight mode, which is, in other words, the paralysis, the frozen mode, or the fight where your adrenaline and your cortisol is so attached and habituated to this person, having spats, having fights. You're getting the boost out of either their neglect or, out of their fighting, their negativity. So it's an addiction to this pattern. And then anything that's extremely elevated like that tends to set up addiction. Anytime there's a super surge of the adrenals, the cortisols, the adrenals once again, or the oxytocin, the feel-good chemicals, the dopamine, the serotonin, you're going to become addicted. The brain is going to want to get that back and resurge in that direction. Like we've been saying, it's the wiring. Neurons, we're learning a lot scientifically here as well as, how it manifests in your actual relationships. It's really very interesting. And so the brain, so that's just like how people become addicted to cocaine, heroin. It carves an indelible mark in the brain. So it gets this surge of a neurochemical that the brain is like, oh yeah, give me some more of that. It's like you've heard of the, adrenal junkie, the speed junkie, the heroin junkie, the cocaine addict, the alcoholic, the love addict, the sex addict. I mean, these, if you see the correlation, which means the connection, is that the brain, especially some people more than others, are prone to this addiction. Some can temper it down, but the addiction is set up when there's an elevated amount of a neurochemical which is carved a new wire and fire. So in the brain, which then the brain wants to go, yeah, give me some of that. So it's like the chocolate, which becomes more chocolate, which is like then chocolate morning, noon, and then morning, noon, and night, and then at midnight, the brain is getting addicted or, needing more and more of the tolerance to keep it fixated. So everything else seems boring, incomplete, not valuable, not meaningful, So that's why you're staying stuck, is because basically you're staying trauma bonded, you're staying addicted. You are habituated, just like a bad habit with this person, just like smoking, just like overeating, just like gambling. It becomes a bad habit. The neurons that wire and fire together are ignited, every time you feel that trigger. So it's up to you to say, I'm not going to take that drink. I'm not going to take that trigger. I'm not going to take that snort of cocaine. I'm not going to take that bar of chocolate. It's just like everybody has addiction, but are you addicted to something good like love? What about the truth? It's the lies that cause you to splinter off and feel less than. You're like, split down the middle like a quarter of wood. You're just like, you feel like you're missing something. It's like a puzzle. Something is missing. It doesn't look complete unless you've got all those pieces. So the way I'm going to explain it, and I use a lot of analogies, is that when you're living a lie and you're with a pathological liar, where someone lies chronically, even though they don't need to, like the psychopath, they will lie just for amusement. They will lie and have relationships for entertainment. This is day in and day out, and to the degree that most people would be sick to their stomach, their conscience would stop them. The psychopath, someone without a conscience. And just don't stay that, really reflect on what that means. And it's not just like, oh, they don't have a conscience, it's a very serious statement. They have no conscience. They have no morality. They have no right or wrong. That part of the brain ain't lighting up on the scans. It ain't entering into their work. It ain't entering into their relationships. It ain't entering into their decisions. They feel lifeless, bored, empty if they're not sort of, triggering people, lying, deceiving, causing mayhem, causing destruction, causing ruin. For them, it's entertainment. It's just like, it's the way to get a laugh, a chuckle, a sneer. It's how they feel that they are better than other people. So they are also get addicted. Their dopamine level is very subject to these high risk behaviors. The narcissist, I use these in the same example, but people who feel okay just pathologically lying in order to deceive or just get something by somebody. What can they get away with? It is their entitlement, alive and well when they lie to others. And so for people who are in relationships, then they're believing the illusion, they are stuck on the lie, and then they're living a lie to some degree because they're denying their own inner truth and their own inner purpose and their own inner mission. Meaning you don't feel that you're sort of really on your right life path when you're with this person. Something always seems a little craggy, a little off. You're giving too much. You're feeling too little. You're told to shut up too many times. You're hearing abusive words. You're, getting, paranoid. The person is away. They are, keeping 2-3 relationships on the side. You feel that they are not all there, fully present for you. And you've got this inkling feeling, but you're not used to or afraid to speak up. You're living intimidated and in fear of these individuals. You're really fearing being alone. You're really fearing self-esteem. You're really fearing letting go. And it's the addiction coupled with the fear of the unknown, the uncertainty, which people need some degree of uncertainty. So also I feel that that's why they stay addicted to these relationships, because sometimes it can be exciting. The fights can be energizing, and look, the drama, the fights, the spats, the paranoia, the driving off into the night, finding where they're at, looking for, this trail of clues that they've left. You see some lipstick, you see some this, you see some dirty laundry, you see this book out, you see the phone out, and you're kind of like then on this thrill chase. And so oftentimes the thrill of trying to sort it all out stays people stuck in the relationships for weeks, months, and years. They're so agitated and they're looking for closure so deeply that they're just on the thrill of trying to get it all sorted out. And you do need to get it sorted out. You do need to get to the bedrock. You do need to get to the truth. But you need to understand, though, that if you stay stuck in this mongering, sort of agitated, fearful state, you're really not only fearing the individual, but you're fearing being alone. You're fearing the truth, when actually the truth is what you should be embracing. That wholeness, that autonomy, that I am self-reliant, I can make it alone, should be the true fire, the true spark that should warm you up and you should gravitate to. I call these two different things. One is negative orderly direction thinking, where you're stooping lower and lower to your boundaries and your standards. I call that nod thinking, behaving, choosing, and feeling. When you're sort of on that negative addiction, and I say nod because it's like, no, that is not in your best interest. That's not in alignment to your higher self, your divine within you, the universal truth, which will ignite and spark you and light you up and give you what you're looking for in this person. But on the flip side, what I call positive orderly direction thinking, behaving, feeling, deciding, and everything of that nature, it takes you to a whole nother place. Not only on the outside, but on the inside as well. Your feelings are actually more juiced up for the positive when you get to that, and you start really becoming attracted to life without the fear, life without the hurt. You're doing the healing thing. You're not doing the hurting thing. So it's like I'm doing the rich thing and I'm not doing the poverty thing. It's being able to speak into existence that with what you want, but your belief has to believe in your wants and believe in your truth, and oftentimes believe in your independence. And until you can really unhook that belief of self-respect, get hooked on self-respect, self-love. These sound so trite, but it's so true when you really reflect on the meaning. In other words, healthy narcissistic boundaries and standards. And no, you won't become a narcissist if you cut this person out or if you demand more. That is part of the belief system, I feel, that keeps people stuck. Is they're like, well, if I leave them, I'm a loser, or I'll become a narcissist. I have a lot of people who ask that question, as well as, the tie, but can they be a narcissist as well as a psychopath, at the same time? Narcissism is built way into a psychopath, but they're a whole nother antisocial. I mean, they include that and more. Let's just put it that way. And, they are both dangerous, lethal, and unhealthy and toxic to be around. But until you get the space, until you go no contact, until you live on your truth and live on your self-reliance and live on your clarity and live on what you really want, and until you make that switch, which can be really a whole different shift of energy, will you only then be able to make the changes that you want and go without the yelling, going without the fights, going without the problems, going without the financial issues, going without the health issues, until you can really let that go. People feel completed when they're overly defined by the negative, when their identity is caught up in this. I'm an angry this, I'm a passionate Hispanic, I will always be this way, this is my blood, and then, so their identity, I will always be an alcoholic, I will always be, this rock and roller, their identity is caught up, an alcoholic defines himself by that. So they're identifying, in other words, they always have an image of themselves with a drink. So that's why they can't drink. That's why I talk about in the book that I'm working on, you need to have a mentor, but also a positive image. You need to get a glimpse of yourself in the mirror, what it would look like without this person, what it would look like without this fighting, what would it look like without this overeating, what would it look like without lying to yourself, what would it look like if you could actually live your truth. You have to have an image and have that, hey, I look younger, I look healthier, I'm actually smiling, I'm actually at peace, I'm actually gainfully employed, I'm actually working out, I'm actually eating well, I'm going to learn about horseback riding, I'm learning how to build things, I'm learning how to write a book, I'm learning how to build a website, I'm learning how to invest, I'm learning how to paint. I'm learning how to sculpt. I'm learning how to weave. I'm learning how to, etc. Do you see how your life then expands and grows in positive early directions versus negative early direction? You're getting more set up. So that's why I talk about how important it is for you to give yourself a hand up and schedule these things for yourself. So you actually, it's like you have an inner coach that's actually helping you to organize and structure this for yourself. So you're speaking, more effectively. You're saying the words that are phrased in the positive versus being phrased in the negative. You're saying things like, I'm doing the healing thing. I'm doing the healing date. I'm doing the healing visit. I'm doing the healing conversation. And, where your then heart is leading you versus the analysis where you're always trying to figure out if they're a narcissist, or if they're a psychopath, or if I should do this. The analysis paralysis will get you stuck for the longest until you just say, I'm done. I'm done with, and until you can really, in my mind, until you say, I'm sick and tired of living this way. I'm sick and tired of being silenced. I'm sick and tired of being poor. I'm sick and tired of not having this person at my holidays, because they're always giving me the lie. I'm sick and tired of feeling less than. Until you can say that and you say, this is not how I want to live. This is not how I want it to be. And until you have that wake-up call yourself and that really dawns on you and you change right then and there. So you're able then to catch yourself, nope, I'm no longer calling this person. Nope, I'm no longer searching their phone. Nope, I'm no longer looking through their wallet. Nope, I'm no longer trying to search their Facebook. Nope, I'm no longer living in secrecy. I'm no longer, living unhappy. This has got to change, and this is changing for me now. It's like, boom, it happens now. You have to be in that space, and then where you're learning then the phraseology, the physiology, the neurochemistry that then correlates with this commitment and this decision. So it feels like a commitment. It feels like a decision. It feels like a warm embrace. It feels like a change. And then it feels like excitement. And then you're no longer in the illusion. You actually are experiencing the full spectrum of the emotions, experiences, behaviors, and choices and things that are then being drawn to you versus, feeling like it's always out of your reach, it's always out of your grasp. So I hope this helps you explain to you why people get stuck, why people, have developed such a high tolerance to the abuse. It's because it's like an addiction. It's like a drug. It's like a fix. It's how they identify themselves. It's what's been habituated. It's what's routine. It's, what you have lowered yourself or lowered your boundaries and your standards to be. And until you can get a glimpse of yourself without the fighting, without the hiding, without the secrecy, without the mistreatment, until you can see yourself in that healthy light, what does it look like if I'm not yelling? What does it look like if I'm, not controlled by this illusion, or I'm not trying to control an illusion? I'm not trying to control the outcome. I'm not trying to control people anymore. I'm not trying to get them, force myself or force them. How can I be a healthy communicator? What does this look like? What is involved? What is entailed? What are the elements? What are the foundation of this? What's part of the formula? What physiology? What emotional mindset as well that creates this change? And until you sort of do that work, then, you'll be able to enter into any environment, any situation, and not be attracted by the bully, not be attracted, or hurt by the psychopath or those psychopathic individuals. You'll have recognized and you'll have grown enough in awareness that, boom, it'll no longer plague you. It will no longer enter your energy field. You won't be propelled by the negative. You'll be propelled by the positive. But until you can see how this is playing out or ruining or have a role in your life, and then the cause that's created this effect, what is the cause of this? Why has this always been kind of a seed that's kind of grown like a vine that's strangling the tree of life within you, and then that positivity, why is that there? Why is that shadow there? Why is it an embarrassment or difficult for you to let that go? Why is it difficult to let the shame go? Why is it difficult to let the fear go? Why is it difficult to let this mask of fear or being connected to them? Why is it difficult? Why can't you say goodbye? You know, what is it about you that is clinging onto this? What is developing? Why is that there that clingy nature? And how can you release and let it go and be like, whoa, you know, and then you can just sort of feel, you know, like you can go where you want in your life now. You can go anywhere. You can be anyone. You can, you know, become a new person that's around the healthy, and it's engaging in a more fun, you know, more carefree mindset where you're lightening up and you don't feel plagued by this toxicity, this fighting, this negativity, this violation. You know, things are healed, and that's okay. And it just is. You know, healing just is, but you have to pronounce it. You have to speak it. You have to do the healing thing. You have to feel, you know, that you're deserving and you fit in, and then you have an identity that reflects that. And if you don't, you have to ask the question, why don't I? Why is the negative so appealing to me? Why am I so stuck there? Am I okay being stuck there? You know, if you're okay being, you know, stuck with people who are narcissistic day in and day out and being unhappy, then that's a responsible choice that you have made. You know, Abraham Lincoln, people are just as happy as they make their minds up to be. So you have to really kind of really let that soak in and really reflect and see how, you know, perhaps you've spent too many years in the fog, too many years unhappy, too many years, you know, disliking where you're at. And it's time to say, you know, enough is enough. You know, I'm not playing the martyrdom anymore. I'm not playing the martyr. I'm, you know, not suffering. You know, there's, you know, Jesus has suffered on the cross. You know, why are you carrying this suffering for so long? You have to ask this question, and wherever, you know, of whatever faith, of whatever religious belief, whatever philosophy, you have to ask why has suffering been such a main ingredient in my emotional life? You know, and why is this? And what would it be like if I were to be happy? What does that look like? What does that feel like? What does the ideal look like? This is where self-belief comes in. You know, oh, I can never have the ideal. You know, what does the ideal feeling look like? What is it, you know, what does the ideal feeling feel like? Oh, it could never be that good. There you go. If you say those words, well, then it'll never be that good for you. You just spoke it into existence. That is your belief. That is your subconscious. The subconscious is where you have to heal all this stuff. It's the, you know, big mystery. It's the big miracle. You know, it's where it is. But you have to, you know, then part of also what I believe in and I focus on in the work is, you know, being able to ask these questions so you can, you know, get into the healing, which is in the subconscious mind, which is where it's all lost. But that's where you find yourself, is in the subconscious. They don't, you know, maybe they taught you this somewhere, you know, but this is really important because that is what's running the show, is your belief system, your values. And if you deep inside believe, I will always be second, I will always be last, I will always be, but it's important for you to understand that inner programming and take some time and get to know that and get to discover it so you can change it. So you can change the faulty programming. That is where the work is, and it's as much as a will, an intention, an idea, a vision, all your senses under, getting aligned with this and then saying, okay, amen. If there's a bigger guide here in infinite intelligence, I just ask for your help to help me accomplish this and help me know this and help me to live this and bring me that. Please bestow that onto me. I'm asking you with purest heart. If you can be that in that purity and be there in that release of fear and in that trust, then that trust is what will then engender and then ignite your life. And then you will change. You will become like children, like they say in the good book. become like children. A very simple statement, but when you really reflect on that, it's really pretty miraculous. It's actually pretty wonderful. And even if you've been a parent, even if you've been a grandparent, a great-great-grandparent, a, surrogate parent, or a babysitter, release that and let that go so you don't feel stuck in the suffering zone, in the not thinking zone. You're not stuck in the unhappy zone. It's, not a great place to be. For some reason, a lot of people, the largest chapter of the book of their life has to be like, yup, and, 3,000 pages of suffering. Suffering. Turn the page. Still suffering. Turn the page. Yep. Still suffering. Next. Yep. Still suffering. I mean, how many more pages, how many more days do you want to go through of suffering? Well, if you just said, I want 1,000 more pages of suffering, peace and harmony, well, then you will give that to yourself. If you go, not one more day, not one more page, I'm done. I'm so done with this. I'm disgusted. I'm sick of myself. I'm so disappointed. I'm disgusted. Then you've got what we call leverage. You then have power over yourself and you are empowered. Notice how I say the empowered harmonizers. And beautiful empowered harmonizers. Understand what really is underneath that word, the meaning. Loving the word empowered is to have leverage over yourself. And you can only have leverage until you really have the pain. And, when the pain is great enough, then you'll have the leverage and control over yourself. Leverage means to have control over. To have leverage over, in other words, to be over it, to be above it, on top of it. And then having that over your emotional life and your emotional aura, that with which you emit out 8 to 9 feet over you, including all of your senses and your energy centers and your chakras, including your 6th and 7th sense, your intuition and your higher intelligence. When you're opening that up, you're becoming an open channel. That's what we're doing here. We're an open channel to that higher solution, to that higher intelligence, so you can enact changes at that level, because that's the level you need to be in, where you're really, getting to know the problem and then what the actual solution is. But it's opening your eyes little by little by little by little by little, day in and day out, consistently, to say, okay, I'm humble enough in my solar plexus to say, whoa, I was wrong here, or whoa, this was not good for me here. I confess this was not good. I was young, I was immature, I was wounded, I was abused, I was neglected, I was manipulated, I was exploited, I was